falls right around Thanksgiving, so it gets lost.
Cake and stuffing.
Which, by the way, he was fine with. He's one of those kids, you get him a gift and all he wants to do is play with the box.
Yeah, one year we actually just got him a box. A really nice box.
And we made the mistake of putting it in a gift bag. We can't get it right. I feel terrible.
Oh.
We gotta do something.
Yeah, well, the family is going to be together for Thanksgiving for the first time, and I don't even know how long.
I am so with you. We should blow this out and throw Luke the best birthday party of all time.
Yes, and we'll order a whole bunch of pizzas and set up an arts and crafts table.
A what?
Yeah, a crafts table. Everybody gathers around and they make stuff, and then bam, they got their own party favor.
Okay. Sorry I fell asleep while you were describing the most boring party ever.
See you in a few hours.
Yeah. Thanks again for the karaoke machine. I'll get it back to you right after the party.
That'd be great. Please stop.
Here's your money briefing for Monday, February. Made big bucks by buying and selling shares of companies like GameStop as the price shot up. Well, pretty soon they might be surprised to learn that their next big transaction will explain how buying and quickly selling stock can drive up your tax bill. And we'll hear from a 23-year-old Robinhood trader who's facing a hefty tax bill of his own. It's after the break. GameStop, AMC, Bed Bath & Beyond, these heavily traded stocks have made some retail investors a lot of money in just the past few weeks. But scoring quick cash can also mean a huge tax bill that many people aren't ready for. In a moment, we'll check in with a young Robinhood trader from Atlanta on his experience and what trades like these can mean for your taxes. Laura, thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
So let's start with the basics. How is this kind of investment income taxed differently from, say, a job?
Well, it's really very different, and people need to be aware of this. And two things I think are especially important to stress. Something that may seem pretty good is that you don't owe payroll taxes on it. That's Social Security and Medicare tax. That's on employment income or self-employment income. So this is investment income. That's very different. You don't owe. That can come up to 15.3%, and you don't owe that. You don't have to pay it. One of the other things that's important and can be a bit of a trap is that there's no withholding. There's no way to withhold on your winnings. So if you get a pension check or a Social Security check or a paycheck, you either must or you can have money withheld to pay your taxes. In this case, you're going to have to pay taxes, and you better set aside the money to pay the taxes so it doesn't come as a big surprise on April 15.
Now, people trading GameStop shares bought and sold at a pretty quick pace as the share price changed. That's how they were able to make money. But can that type of trading run up their tax bill?
Oh, in so many ways. And a lot of these young traders are not thinking about taxes, and they should be thinking about taxes. Well, there are rules. The first thing is that these people are mostly trading in taxable accounts. These people, millions of them, have old-fashioned retail trading accounts, which means that every trade is potentially taxable and will be reported to the IRS by your broker. And so you have to deal with the paperwork at the end of the year. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing is that if you hold a position for less than a year, then you have to pay much higher tax rates. You pay the same rate that you would pay on your wages. And then you have state taxes on top of that. So Uncle Sam can take a pretty big bite out of your winnings.
Can you break that down a bit more?
For a year or longer, the rates are much lower. It could be 0 or 15% or 20% up to maybe 23.8%. So that's a pretty low rate. Now, if you hold for less than a year, then you have a short-term capital gain, and that's taxed at ordinary income rates. And that's the same as your wages. So the tax rates there go from 10%, not 0%, 10% to 37%. And if you are in California and you have state taxes, then you're going to wind up paying more than 50% if you're a top bracket taxpayer in both your federal and state taxes.
Now, we've heard about people.
I definitely need to think about more if I'm going to put that money aside, when I would start, or if I'm just going to try to, make more money in the stock market that I can, use to cover the taxes. So yeah, obviously it's something you want to be disciplined with, and it almost sometimes.
Carlos, thanks for coming on our show.
Thanks so much for having me, JR.
So Laura, I'm sure Carlos is like a lot of people who just now are realizing the tax bill that'll be coming.
Really the time to think about this is before you sell tax. I saw some of them for this story. I saw one in particular, somebody who traded 2,000 times between December 14th and December 30th. And all of that goes to the IRS, and all of it has to go into your tax return and be filed correctly. And people are going to wind up paying a pretty penny in some cases to get these taxes done. Not always, but often.
Thousands of pages in a tax report. That might make someone think about investing in the paper industry.
Yeah, well, or certainly the tax prep industry.
Okay, but whether you have a tax professional prepare your returns or not, you've got to come up with the money. Sounds like doing some math homework can go a long way.
Yeah, you're often, but if you have investment income and you have enough of it, you may owe quarterly estimated taxes, and you can't just pay it all at the end of the year. You know, you can have penalties for not paying what you're supposed to pay each quarter.
And people have made a lot of money off the GameStop trades, but let's talk about the losses a lot of people have racked up too. The tax laws get a little tricky there. Can you take us through?
And very little money the next year in salary and commissions. I can't average those two, but you do have a way to use your losses when you have investment income.
All right, that's Wall Street Journal tax reporter Laura Saunders. Laura, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And that's your money briefing. I'm J.R. Whalen for the Wall Street Journal. A lot of people's bank accounts, but a year into the pandemic, many people see economic relief from the government as more than just money to spend.
The longer that we go into the pandemic, the more people are uncertain about whether that be the length of the medical crisis or job stability. So they're really just thinking about, do I need a rainy day fund? Where is the most responsible place to put this money?
Coming up, our personal finance reporter Amber Burton will discuss how consumers are trying to make ends meet. Plus, we'll speak with a 27-year-old Rhode Island resident.
Consumer behaviors really changed this time around. A lot of that stems from the fact that, a lot of the ways that consumers spend got shut down in many ways with the pandemic. So they might have gone out to restaurants or different places, spending it more so, at home, whether that be paying off debt or more willing to go out and spend the money at the beginning of the pandemic. People are being a little bit more slow to decide what they want to do with this check. We spoke to a lot of younger people this time around, and a lot of people decided to either put it toward debt like student loans or either save it and put it in their savings account. The driving force behind a lot of these decisions, with the people that we spoke to at least, were that the longer that we go into the pandemic, the more people are uncertain about whether that be the length of the medical crisis or job stability. So they're really just thinking about, do I need a raise?
Expenses.
We're in a situation where I moved in with my sister and my parents in our household because everybody together would be able to chip in and pay the expenses versus everyone being on their own. So we are in survival mode, just everybody putting in what they can to cover monthly expenses. So I relied heavily on credit cards to just pay the monthly bills or buy the food, so purchase those necessities that we all have on a monthly basis.
All right, so tell me, how have you used the 2 stimulus payments sent out by the government so far?
So with the economic situation that we're going through during the COVID, I've been relying heavily on credit card to just sustain my expenses every month. So I thought of taking my stimulus checks, both the first one and my second one, and that went directly into my credit card. Cut out completely. We cut out cable. We have multiple cable boxes. We got rid of them. We just kept one. We kept the router, and we were able to renegotiate our monthly expenses with the provider and lower that down. I have student loans, and it's something that is always a burden that you're looking forward to figure out. So right now we have them on hold, so that I was able to reduce that money and focus on just bringing down on the different expenses that I had.
Now, there's a proposed third round of stimulus being debated in Washington. It could be as high as $1,400 for individuals. What do you think you'll do with the money if it's as high as $1,400?
If it's as high as that, it covers a monthly payment of either your rent or your mortgage. In our case, it would be our mortgage, so I definitely would put it towards that.
So what have you learned about managing your finances during the pandemic that you'll carry forward?
You have the capability to really say, I'm going to go in survival mode and figure. It really made me realize.
Okay, here's the final look. And I'm going to eat lunch. And then go buy some stuff for repotting some of my plants. I have fruits right here.